let's take just a couple minutes to talk about the actual calligraphy nibs, where you get them, how you use them, how you clean them, and so forth. First of all, I just dumped out on this paper my collection of nibs so that you can see yourself in the future. After several decades of having a hobby of doing calligraphy, you too will have gathered a whole collection of things. I don't want this to be intimidating. I just want you to know that it's kind of fun. For all of the fonts that we will be doing, that I'll be doing for my videos, we'll be using a C point, a broad tip, flat tip pen. Those are all the same thing. Do you understand? The shape of the pen is, of course, square at the end. You know that very well. And the name for this end is either called a broad tip or a C tip. And I think the main reason it's called a C is because, at least here in America, the brand of calligraphy pens that is most easily found, you can find them in almost any well-stocked art store, is the Speedball pen. That's this. I've put them up here, this row. This is a Speedball 0, 1, 2, and a couple 3s. So in the Speedball world, the 0 is the widest, a 1 is a little narrower, a 2 narrower, and so on and so forth. And you'll want a variety of nibs and widths to play around with. If you're doing large letters, of course you want a wider tip. And again, the Speedball is a perfectly fine pen, and you can find them almost anywhere. I also have a collection of various other brands. Brause is one of the names that I look for the most. You can't find those in a lot of places. You can find them easily online, B-R-A-U-S-E. And I find that for me, sometimes the Brause works just a little bit more smoothly than the Speedball, but the Speedball is perfectly appropriate for getting started. I'm not even going to talk about the square point and the round point and all these and the crow quill pens. They may come up later. If we start doing a copper plate font, then we'll talk about these. But in the meantime, everything we're doing is the square point, which I have them gathered all up here. Now, let me talk about a few things that we didn't address during the course of looking at each individual letter. One is, well, how deep, how much ink do you put on the pen? You'll get this all intuitively after a while, but let me go ahead and get you started in the right direction. Now, unfortunately, with my cute little jar, you can't really see how much ink is in there, but I'm going to dip my pen in there. I don't know if you can see how much. Yeah, can you see that? So it's roughly half of the business end of the nib goes into the ink. Let me draw a little diagram here for you. If your pen, in fact, I'll draw an illustration of the nib. Here we go. Here's what your pen, this is a Brause tip. Here's what it looks like. It's got a little tab and it's got some, it's a couple pieces of metal. It's not just one single piece. So that's essentially what the Brause looks like. And I want to dip it about this deep into the ink. So it gets up into the interaction between these two pieces of metal is what holds the ink. It's like a reservoir. The two pieces of metal hold the ink in between them and then release it little by little as you use it. Does that make sense? So you want to dip it about that far. Now, there's no question that as you go working along, you're going to dip your pen in too far, not far enough, and you'll just learn the fine points from experience. My recommendation is get some kind of jar, it doesn't need to be this kind at all, that will have the right amount in it so you don't have to be careful about where you dip. You just go all the way to the bottom and then pull it out, and then after several hours of calligraphy, you'll need to add just a little bit more. And in case you missed it, this is any kind of India ink with a little bit of water. Sometimes in my studio at home, I'll have a spray bottle and just a little bit of water into that ink, and it comes out just about the right degree of viscosity, the right thickness for flowing through a pen. Now here's something you're really going to want to know. How do you clean the dang thing? And how do you clean your fingers? Well, I'll tell you about how to clean your fingers real quick. Go get some super duper hand cleaner that you can get at any hardware store, and that'll do a good job for getting the ink off your hands. You're going to have a good cleaning session after every calligraphy session. Now, don't worry about the cleaning the wooden handle. That just makes you look like a real artsy artist when your handle starts getting really dirty like that. The point, however, you do want to have clean, and there are a number of things you can do. The sky's the limit. Of course, number one is just a bucket of plain water there to dip it in, and then a tissue to wipe it off. That will do most of the time, but after a while, it'll start getting gunked up, and you'll know because it stops working so well. At that point, there are a number of things. Borax. I read that somewhere. I don't even know what borax is, but they say, put some borax in your water. And my local grocery store doesn't carry borax, so I don't know what that is. But soap, I understand soap. Put some dishwashing soap in there. If you want to start getting a little tougher on that built-up ink, try denatured alcohol. It works very well for a lot of things like that. It's a solvent. Get a little jar, put denatured alcohol in it, put your nib in there, and shake it around for a little while. Maybe leave it overnight, and when it comes out, in my experience, it'll come out really clean. Can I give you one more crazy, a little bit more desperate if you really get hard up? Again, these aren't that hard to clean, but you can put them actually in water, make sure it's in water, in a glass jar, in the microwave, and the water will boil, and it will sometimes clean the point. I probably have a whole bunch of microwave technicians out there pulling their hair out saying, no, don't do that, but I've done it. It works just fine. Anyway, so there's a number of ways to clean your point. I hope it'll give you years of fun, and I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.